Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Export, a new podcast where I talk to creators from various walks of life about their careers thus far. If you are tuning in for the very first time, and you probably are, this is the very first episode, so if you're listening to it as it's the only episode, that is literally the only way you could be listening to it for the very first time, pretty much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, that's a brief introduction to what I'm going to be doing here on Export. There are a few links in the description of the episode. There's a Twitter account to follow to keep up with, who's next, what's going on with the podcast. There's also a link to a Patreon that I've made, so if you enjoyed this episode and the next few, and there's a few pennies in your pocket that you wouldn't mind, handing over to me, that's completely up to you, though. It's a free show, but if you want to contribute at all, there will be a link to a Patreon in the description. Just to give you a quick intro to this episode, so as I said, I'm talking to IntoTheBarrier. We recorded this on the 23rd of October 2021. So the reason I'm telling you that is because the last question of the podcast is about who he thinks is going to win the World Championship title on the driver's side. So, spoiler alert, he says either Verstappen or Hamilton. Of course, we know who won it now. But this was 2 months before Abu Dhabi, so we didn't know. So, in case you're hearing that question and thinking, why is he asking him that? We know it was a month ago. And that's why, because this was recorded in October last year, on the weekend of the American Grand Prix, in fact. But we hadn't seen that yet because this was the Saturday, I think. So yeah, without further ado, anyway, you don't want to hear me rambling on at the start too often, so yeah, let's get into it. It's a great chat. He has very good insights. I was only going to make it like this quick, sort of fun, not too deep chat. We went into some really good topics and some deeper areas, and it's really cool. So enjoy. This is Export. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this and stick around for future. Hopefully you enjoyed this and stick around for future episodes. Sweet. Enjoy it. Goodbye. Hello, Scott. Welcome to Export. How are you?
I'm very well, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. No, it's all right. I mean, you say thanks for coming along. Really. We haven't met up or anything. Sadly, this Zoom age that we're in, it's just a quick walk through to the study. But yes, here I am joining you.
It does make it easier though that I can interview you and you could be anywhere in the world. So.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I'm not one to criticise. It's marvelous. But yes, here we are. I'm looking forward to having a chat.
Me too.
And seeing what this podcast has in store for us.
So you started doing YouTube in, what was it, 2010, 2011?
2010, September 2010. I started.
What brought it on?
I mean, I might be able to give you a little exclusive here, actually.
Oh, hello.
My YouTube career goes back a little further than that.
Oh, hello.
To a channel that no longer exists and hasn't existed for a long, long time.
That's a shame.
So I started early 2010 doing a Call of Duty channel.
Oh.
Which ran for a short amount of time. Until so I was 15 at the time. I was.
What was that called? Into the Headshot.
No,
that was just off the dome.
That would have been a better name than the one I came up with. It was actually called. The aim of the channel, without
Kamerov's clips.
Too much. No. Although that again, you see, you have come up with two better names than what I came up with.
What can I say?
In 30 seconds, which kind of tells you how long I was thinking about this name. So the idea of the channel was to do sort of stealthy Call of Duty videos and try and be tricky and all that. So I called myself Stealthy Scott, which is a take
the alliteration started early then.
Well, exactly. Obviously, my name being Scott, I changed that to Scod because it was a Call of Duty channel. Yeah, I was trying to be funny, but I was barely 15 at the time, so we can forgive it. So I did that for about 6 months. Kind of didn't feel like I was really. The inspiration for that, came from watching gaming videos of YouTubers playing Call of Duty, enjoying them, thinking, I'd like to have a go at that. But after sort of 6 months, didn't really get anywhere. I wasn't really feeling like I was offering anything new, offering anything different, offering anything better than that was already around.
Right.
So on the side, there was a bit of crossovers, maybe 3 months of crossover. I did them both. But on the side, I started IntoTheBarrier in about September 2010, where I felt like I had an idea that was original, which was, it wasn't the scene that it is today.
No, of course not. I can't think of anyone who did F1 videos really.
No, there were a few. There were a few old names. And it was a lot of them were down the serious route and are down the fastest lap route and league racing and setups route. So I thought, do you know what? I've always liked getting excited about games. I've always seen the fun in games. That's why I've always played games. I think there's a gap here. There's an opportunity for someone to start up and just have a bit of fun with it and be a bit silly. So that's what I did. I decided as a 15-year-old to start up this channel where the aim is, and forever will be, about just having fun with it, not trying to be the best, just having a laugh, which is what I've always seen games as for me. So that was the inspiration of it, really. But yes, my YouTube career predates IntoTheBarrier. That's a nice little exclusive for you, because I let me tell you, I went to great lengths to bury that channel a long time ago, because looking back, it wasn't particularly good. And obviously, when you first start out,
nothing is good.
Yeah, and I suppose there's an important message in there actually for people that are starting out, is that when you start out, your confidence isn't there, your final idea isn't there yet. So
your mic quality isn't there
yet. Yeah. I mean, I was recording in standard definition, but further than that, within yourself, you're not the finished article, and you can't expect to walk into any scene and be the finished article. It takes a long time. IntoTheBarrier took a long time. I've kept all the old videos up because I think they're nice, but I think the growth in me just on the IntoTheBarrier trajectory is huge.
I agree. I've got that in my notes, and we'll come on to that probably a bit later.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that's helped you is you do have a fantastic voice for commentary and this sort of thing. Did you know that before you started, or were you aware? Because it just is. It's a good voice for it.
Well,
I get told I have a good voice as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to hear that in a way. Yeah, because you don't. A lot of the time, you don't hear your own voice. But
yeah, I've kind of got used to hearing it. Such as going through hours and hours of editing your own voiceovers and having to sort of do a line and then you go, no, I'm not happy with that. The delivery needs to be punchier here, or no, people have said that to me as a child, or as a sort of throughout my YouTube career. I've never really thought particularly that I've had an amazing voice. I felt like I've just had a passable voice. It does the job. It's fairly neutral.
Yeah,
it doesn't really have much of an accent. As I said, you always go through the stage of really not liking hearing yourself back. I would say I still struggle with it in a group setting. If I'm showing someone or some people my work that has my narration on it or my voice on it, there is a bit of me that's a bit like, I'm not. It's still quite hard. But yeah, it's nice. It's obviously lucky in a sense, but that I've been blessed with quite a neutral accent, quite a safe accent. I've been told it's nice. I've also been told I sound like Michael Owen quite a lot. So,
yes, I remember you put that in a parody video or something, didn't you?
I've honestly, everyone always says.
Oh, it was a Q&A. It was a Q&A.
Yeah. Well, not everyone, but quite a lot of people say you sound exactly like Michael Owen. I don't hear it, but maybe
I hear it a bit. I don't think it's absolutely nailed on.
He's famous, isn't he, for being. Well, I don't want to say that, but for stating the obvious, basically on broadcasts, and not being the most inspired co-commentator. So as time's gone on, I'm taking it more as an insult than a throwaway comment.
I think it's more to do with the sonics of the voice rather than the
Tone
commentary
and the delivery.
and the delivery and the content of the commentary.
Thank you, Ben. That's
you're welcome.
That's kind of you to say.
But if we're going to talk about your voice, we have to talk about your most iconic line, shall we say? And I'm going to give it a go. Okay, are you ready for this? Oh no!
That was good.
I actually feel I'm quite good at it.
No, that's a good one.
Oh no! It's just as you said. I think it was to your friend when he Matt Turner, another video, has to come from the back of the throat. And you're absolutely correct. It really does. You have to almost force it. You can't have an open throat. You have to close up a bit. Oh no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel that is, again, a very good.
But the thing is, I make YouTube videos as well, and I did a lot of F1. And I have to say, you were one of the biggest influences. And I've had people on my videos say, "You're just another Into the Barrier. You sound just like him." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably me."
No.
I don't know if I was quite doing that, but I'd come out with like lines and analogies, and I'd listen to myself back, thinking, "I'm not original. I'm just a massive copycat."
Well, I mean. You're being quite harsh on yourself there, because I think
I feel like I've evolved since. I think especially in my earlier days, when you have your influences and you're really wearing them on your sleeves before you develop your own.
Every sort of new idea and new approach has inspiration from somewhere, and takes the bits of different things and takes it on a level. That's how
it's the same with music. It's the same with films. I think it's so difficult these days to be like original. Everything made now is an amalgamation of that creator's influences, just boiled into one thing that they then make their own.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at YouTube as a 15-year-old, feeling like it was, a crowded space then, and it was difficult to find niches and find something that hadn't been done before. Whereas now it's absolutely gone on a level, 10 times that. And actually, if you took it back 10 years, you'd probably look at it and go, wow, there's loads of opportunity here. There's loads of things that haven't been done. So it's just people that constantly come up with new ideas. And it's the same in every creative space. You look at films and how much they've moved on over
Absolutely.
100 years or however long they've been. The films that we sort of recognize have been coming out. You mentioned music. Everything, every creative industry has people that take the best bits of the past and takes it on a level. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking inspiration, taking bits from other people and using it to move forward.
This is becoming far more insightful than I thought it would. But it's excellent. It's brilliant.
Well. Thank you. I'm glad I can provide some insight.
Absolutely. But going back to when did you first realize
that massive deep conversation about the creative space started with a question?
This is what I mean. Like, it was meant to be just a fun thing about and you're just going off on a massive. Well, I think. But it's really good.
No. But do you want me to ask where the "oh no" came from?
Not just where it came from, but when did you start to realize that it was kind of resonating, that it was becoming a thing that people were picking up on? Of course, in commentaries, I doubt you're even thinking about it. You're just saying, "Oh no, something bad's happened," and suddenly everyone's in the comments, "Oh no, haha."
That's exactly it. I did not plan for it to become a thing.
No, of course not.
In fact, I didn't plan for any of the vague things associated with my videos to become things.
I've got a list of them.
They were just, I mean, the aliens
Horsey,
was another one.
Aliens, Casper.
It was. None of them were planned to be things. Certainly the "oh no," that was just me reacting genuinely to things that went wrong. I can't recall when I sort of said, "Oh, this is something I need to put in more often because people seem to be finding it funny." I suppose it just happened slowly over a period of time, and I noticed it appearing in the comments sections, and people seem to engage with it. And that's the case with all of them. Aliens reappear all the time because people seem to engage with it. I'm conscious that people that haven't seen Into the Barrier won't have a clue what we're talking about with aliens.
I doubt I'm going to have many listeners yet that won't have seen Into the Barrier. I'm jumping on your fan base, Scott. That's who I'm hoping to.
No, that's absolutely fine. All 12 of them.
There's a few more than that. Although, again, you've been sitting just under 100K for a long time now. And it's reminding me of like you did a Q&A of never gonna hit 50k Q&A, and now it's like, when's he gonna hit 100k Q&A?
Unlikely to be ever, I think. You know, I'm slightly worried that I'm going to make myself sound like a bit of a has-been in this next answer, but we'll go with it. Yeah, I mean, further to what I was saying before about how I think new people come along and take it on a level and do new things and you know and make the space better. I think there's loads of examples of that in the F1 community. There's loads of new channels that have popped up that have taken strands from all kinds of places and moved it on a level and have taken the game up a notch. As a consequence, I don't think that I'm. It's not that I don't think I am at all. It is a factual statement that I am. I'm not one of the sort of bigger names in the F1 community as I once was. But that's natural. That's progression. That's people coming along with new, fresh ideas and taking it on a level. And all power to them. That's great. That's exactly what we want to see. In 5 to 10 years' time, there'll be loads of new faces that come along and take the game on even more. And that's how creativity works. So, I'm pretty relaxed about it. The fact that I'm hovering around 100k, I accept that my time as a if ever it was a time where I was the
this is slowly becoming an obituary for yourself.
Yes, that's why I said I was kind of worried about the way this answer was going. Basically, the long story short is that I have been on 100k for just under 100k for a long time, but these are the reasons why I think that is, and that's fine, that's great.
Very profound, very humble as well.
If everyone gets better content out of it, then we can't have any complaints.
Absolutely. But you've always also made sure, I think, to keep moving as best you can. For example, I don't know whether this is because you're unable to do it or not, but you did stop doing Under Pressure, which for a long time was like your signature series. It just kind of died. Was that because you felt it was getting boring and overdone? Were you just finding it harder to do it in lobbies?
Yeah. The truthful answer is probably the latter of what you just said there. No, I mean, yeah, Under Pressure was an interesting one because it was flirting with being serious, which is something I've always vehemently tried to go against. Just with the personality of what I thought IntoTheBarrier was. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before how I believe that I evolved a lot, or have evolved a lot.
Absolutely.
Over the years, and brought new things out, and some things have gone well, and some things I've kind of let them go because they've not done so well. The reason Under Pressure went was, largely because I mean, obviously it sounds daft now because I'm famous for being terrible, but I do think that once upon a time, back in, say, maybe 9 years ago, I think the standard of driving was a lot lower online. As a consequence, it was someone like me that put a lot of hours in. Back then, I was able to do that kind of thing. But I think that not only is the standard of driving with F1 online improved a lot, across the board, I also think that my time playing the game has gone down. So there's been a kind of the standard of driving has gone up here. I know people won't be able to see this, and I've gone slightly down here. So the consequence is that series is like Under Pressure. We kind of rely on me being at the cutting edge of driving abilities in online lobbies, which is long since not been the case.
I think as well you did it in public lobbies, and now of course you almost exclusively do open lobbies, which if we're thinking about your subscribers, you're talking about F1 fans and F1 game fans who will put a lot of time in there, so the driving standards will be higher as well in open lobbies than they are in public as well. So I think that's another thing.
That is absolutely true. The odds of me being the fastest driver in my open lobby which is full of people that are big fans of the sport and the game, is extremely unlikely. The reason actually I pushed to do more open lobbies these days is because I found that just browsing online, it's very difficult these days to get a full lobby.
Yeah, it really is.
And also I found that I just enjoy doing open lobbies more. I enjoy being in a lobby of people connecting on the level which is I'm into the Barriers lobby, therefore we're going to have a play around and have some fun. And I just enjoy that. And
you can try new things as well. Safety car game.
Yeah, but less than that. I just enjoy chatting to everyone. I enjoy having a nice time. And that for me, as I said, it was kind of the foundations of the channel, was just being about having fun and enjoying the game. And if I'm enjoying having a lobby full of people that are also having a good, clowning around, chatting, playing games, then that's going to be, when I dive on to play the game, that's going to be my preference for what I want to do. And the content that comes out of that is the content that goes on the channel.
Yeah, but even now, in what you seem to be describing as your autumnal years on YouTube, you're still influencing people like Ben Tiamat Marduk. I was watching a video of his just recently, and he used Casper to refer to ghosts, which I'm pretty sure originated with you. And I've heard him use alien indicators as well. So
right.
They're still...
Okay, I need you to send me the links to these videos because I'm going to claim royalties on that.
I only watched it yesterday, so I should be able to find it quite quickly.
Yes, they are. Casper is me. Casper the ghost. When people ghost. I came up with that years ago.
And he's now taking it out to 660,000 subs.
Absolutely
without
shocking.
Crediting you, I don't believe.
Appalling. So if you want to go with a massive throwback in terms of references, do you remember KSI used the song Get Hyper?
Yes.
Years and years and years ago, he used it in his videos. That became
the Under Pressure anthem for
No, I used it.
Oh, you used it first?
I used it before KSI used it.
Oh, there we go. And people came into your comments.
I mean, I've obviously stolen lots of ideas from KSI over the years, but Get Hyper I used first. I found it on a copyright-free music site years and years and years and years ago. I can't remember when I first used it, but I did. And then I remember a few years, because I watched KSI religiously at the time.
Yeah.
And a few months later, he used it, and I was like, "Damn you, man!" But anyway, I've stolen enough ideas off KSI over the years, so I can hardly complain.
Well, there we go. Tit for tat, isn't it? So another one that died a slow death as well is Horsey. But the only reason I want to bring this up is because I named the first video that Horsey featured in. It was not long after I started watching your videos, and it was the first time we interacted on Twitter. You put out a video saying, "I can't think of a title for this video. Can anyone help? It's a chaotic race in Germany." And I put Hectic Hockenheim, and that's what you went with.
Oh,
and
yes.
Hectic Hockenheim was the first video of Horsey. So I always like to try and think of, I was part of the beginning of that.
Absolutely. No. Yes, no, Horsey was a popular character.
Where did you find that photo? That's all I want to know. Like, how did you happen across that? Because that's a mad photo. I mean, it's probably not even a photo.
I have no idea, to be honest. I must have stumbled across. I mean, it begs the question: what was I putting into Google that came up?
Exactly. Do we not go there?
I don't know. I don't know. But
actually, let's not go there.
The whole character, if you could call it that, came from that photo, really, that I thought was ridiculous and wanted to get in a video at some point. So I shoehorned it in, and it seemed to go well. But yeah, Horsey was one of a number of. I suspect him at Marduk isn't using Horsey in his videos, but
haven't come across that one.
I'm going to be claiming the alien indicator and Casper.
I can send you the link.
I look forward to it. I will be posting a comment that will be full of resentment.
Oh, he was the Australian alien as well, early days. And that was like when you were more famous than him, and he was starting his YouTube stuff.
For a very small amount of time.
And you can go back to F1 2013 videos of yours, and he will be in the lobby. But of course,
that was when that was 2013 was kind of the year where I saw the best growth. I kind of went from, these numbers seem pretty small in comparison to today's F1 YouTuber numbers, but at the time they were pretty pretty impressive. I went from about 10,000 to about 60,000 subscribers between sort of 2013 and maybe 2016, 17. But a lot of that was in 2013. You know, I sort of went through several months of gaining 1,000 subscribers, which at the time for an F1 YouTuber was really good growth, and was huge, was kind of the cutting edge. Obviously dwarfed by the creators of today, and that's all part of the progress that we were talking earlier. But yeah, that was a good year for me. That was you know, a period where there were loads of new ideas in terms of video concepts that were played with, and lots of them were very successful. Some of them still are successful, I suppose. Some of the ideas, parody ideas and stuff, all came around in that year.
I was just coming on to that because parodies seem to be a place where you have found particular strength, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I suppose it was never an idea to do parodies as a series. It was just an idea to parody. I think Maldonado was the first one to just do just have a bit of fun.
And also Vettel and Karthikeyan crashing, that was one of the first ones.
Yeah, so it was just to have a bit of fun really with real Formula One, and just be a bit sarcastic with it. But people seemed to really like it, and it went down really well. And
apart from the Jensen Button one, which people enjoy.
There's been a few. There's
always going to be hits and misses, isn't there?
Yeah. There's always yes. That's a good way to put it. There's been a few hits and there's been a few misses, but that's the nature of the beast with trying to write entertainment and trying to come up with jokes.
But even your reviews, I think sometimes almost borderline on parody, like the Pokemon Go review.
Yeah, I think that's a massively underrated video. I love that video. It didn't do that well.
You made that clear.
I missed the boat slightly on the Pokemon Go stuff. It was a bit late, but it was late because of how much production value was going into the video. So it didn't do quite as well as I was hoping, but I loved making it, and I love the finished product. And that's one of my favorite videos that I've ever done. Just because I just think that the jokes are quality, and it's an entertaining watch.
It is. It's a very entertaining watch. And of course, you know, you put up reviews, but they're never, you know, absolutely serious reviews. However, you do, especially when it comes to the F1 games, you do actually put like a more proper sounding review at the end. You just sum it up. You do the crashes, you do the aliens.
Basically, my reviews.
But then at the end, you actually do a proper sum up.
Yeah, my reviews are basically, if it's a 4-minute review, it'll be 3 minute. If it's a 4-minute review, it'll be 3 minutes and 45 of complete nonsense, and then I'll tell you what I really think in the last 15 seconds. And that's kind of the way I've always thought is the most Into the Barrier appropriate way to go about it, and the way I've sort of had the most fun with it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, there's always hits and misses. I think there was a FIFA 14 video that was didn't go down.
Oh god, there's loads. Yeah, you could go through and
exactly. I'm not going to go over every single video in detail.
There's many misses over the years, but that's. But
I think sometimes as well, because people, they subscribe to you, I think, of course, primarily for the F1 stuff, and they will miss out on things if it's not an F1 video. I think you did a couple of videos on, I think it was Grid Autosport, and there was that one that ended with the car with like no wheels on the back, and I was in stitches at that one.
Yeah.
But I don't think it did so well in the views from what I could see compared to F1. I'm like, people are missing this goal because it's not F1.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed as well, you've never shied away from trying different games and trying new things in order to try and keep it fresh.
Yeah, I would say certainly. In recent years, I would say I have more so than in the past. I would say that I've learnt through trying lots of new games and seeing that a lot of it doesn't seem to connect with my audience. I've kind of moved away from trying too many new games, or doing videos away from the topic of Formula One, we'll say. But yeah, I've certainly really enjoyed in the past playing different games and doing videos on different games. And you know, I've often enjoyed the finished product. You know, I do have an opinion on a lot of my own work, and sometimes I finish a video and think this is a real beauty, and sometimes I think it's not so good. I've finished a lot of the ones that aren't F1, and I've thought this is really good, and it's not done so well, and I found that quite frustrating, because I'd have loved to have had a series away from Formula One that did really well, and I've been able to really expand on it more. But yeah, I have tried different stuff in the past, and I think it opens a lot more doors having playing different games. But yes, generally as a general rule, if it's not been around the topic of Formula One, it's struggled to really hit the heights that a lot of my F1 stuff has managed to achieve.
But on the flip side, you know, it might not be satisfying, let's say, a lot of your current audience, but it can help bring in a new audience from that side.
Yes, and
it's always worth a go at the very least.
Yes, that's the catch-22. Do you try this and obviously know that with your subscribers it might not do so well, but it might open up more doors, or do you play it safe and produce solely F1 topic content that you know your subscribers will love and hope to attract more F1 loving subscribers?
But I think the problem with going with that second approach is if you're playing it safe, you're struggling to bring in those outside, you know, subscribers and open those doors. And also you can find yourself getting stuck in a creative rut if you keep doing that same kind of thing. So every now and again, and you have found success with other things. Wild Animal Racing, I think, went down.
Oh yeah,
incredibly
that's true.
well.
That's absolutely true. That is a standout candidate of a non F1 game. To be honest, I think there's legs certainly with the Into the Barrier character, with playing just other games that are appalling. Yeah,
that's where your strength lies.
Yes. If I just play games that are appalling and commentate to suggest as such, it seems to go down really well. That is very true. I've certainly had a lot of positive feedback on the Wild Animal Racing video and the Wild Animal Racing 2 video that I did. That is one of the away from F1 topic hits that we had. And yeah, I'm always on the lookout for new terrible games. I think you sent me one, didn't you, a few weeks ago? Someone sent me a terrible game to play.
I don't think it was me. I am always on the lookout, but
you know what? You might. I think you've inspired me. I think I'm going to dig out a terrible game at some point in the next few weeks.
It's not that hard to find one. There's plenty on the Xbox Game Pass that you can. There's one called Cluster Truck, which.
Right. Okay. You need to send me these send me them. I'll make a note.
I just see that title, Cluster Truck, and I'm immediately like,
that is the most clickbaity title ever. I need to have it in a video.
Absolutely.
To be honest, on the subject of titles, I was going to mention before, obviously, the kind of alliteration headlines that became kind of my thing in the sort of early to mid part of my channel. Sadly, those kind of came to an end because YouTube's algorithm just punishes titles that aren't very clickbaity and, you know, heavily and incentivize you to click in by being you know, as tricky as possible. So things like Hectic Hockenheim were in the end working against the algorithm. As much as I had fun trying to put them together, YouTube's algorithm wants you to pick headlines that are just going to make people want to click on them because that's the end of their game. So ultimately, yes, the clickbait title, the alliteration headlines have had to go in favor.
And I think also you do less because those are mostly for races, you know, just 3 or 5 lap race, and you do fewer of those that way.
Yes, I certainly do fewer of those, and I've tried to.
But that's because you've moved on.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the evolution of the channel, and I felt like that idea. It was a good one to have for lots of the channel, because I felt like it was always an idea that I could lean on if I wasn't sure what video to do. Get in a race, have some fun, things will happen, and I'll be able to laugh about it. I've tried to evolve. I've tried to move past that. I've tried to take it on as a channel, and that's why that mold of video has certainly
but that kind of started dying off a little bit. At the same time, a few years ago, one man came into Formula One who proved to be a godsend for your channel.
Where's this going?
Max Verstappen. The amount of content you've been able to wring from Max Verstappen.
Oh, here we go.
And any Dutch listeners are now turning off.
Thanks to no, I have absolutely nothing but words of thanks and joy for any Dutch listeners or any indeed Max Verstappen fan that was interested in my content. Yes, I would say that's the closest I've ever had to going viral was after Singapore 2017 when there was the Max Verstappen and Ferrari crash into the first corner. And I released a comedy video saying that Max Verstappen was at fault when he clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
And he got featured on a Dutch video sharing website. And
did it? I was unaware of that.
No, it got about.
Oh, this explains a lot.
Got about 500,000 views in, I don't know, a week or so. I was on the trending pages. I'd really hit the heights. Yeah, I do have Max Verstappen to thank a lot, and his loyal fan base, as you know, admittedly being a contingent that I've enjoyed poking with a stick rather than trying to get the support of.
Yeah.
But it's been good for my channel, and yeah, he's been a source of lots of ideas. You know, basically coming up with something every time he's been involved in anything contentious. Yeah, back in 2017-18, it was a real source of good content for me, and people seem to really engage with it.
Is a Verstappen Hamilton video parody on the cards? Because which I wouldn't normally ask, but I'm just thinking of this season and everything that's happened. It seems like it would be a goldmine. But,
yeah,
or is it almost too obvious in a way?
No, I mean, I felt that that type of video had its has had its time in the sun. I've certainly released a few since that haven't really got the traction that one did. I think that particular avenue I've gone down all I can with it, and there's people now that do videos of that ilk relating to Serious F1 better than I can do or did do, and they've taken it on a level. And yeah, I think that I've gone down that road as far as I can.
You've wrung everything you feel like you can from
yes, and I'm going to give the Verstappen fan base a bit of a break and concentrate my efforts on trying to find another group of people to rile. Because there's nothing that gets views quite like winding people up, let me tell you.
So on that subject then, so where is Into the Barrier going in the future as a channel? Because I mean, you did do that one video where you kind of ranked your favorite 10 corners in F1, and I remember thinking, hold the phone, this is almost a kind of semi-serious video from Into the Barrier.
Yeah.
So is that going to become
that was a different idea. That was a different
Are you looking to do a few more serious things, or are you just going to keep trying to?
That's an interesting video. When people ask me what I did in the first COVID lockdown, I'll just show them that video because the amount of hours it took me and the amount of effort I poured into it. So yeah, it's one of the things I've experimented with doing. I certainly doing more and more content relating to real F1 rather than related to the game. Is an avenue I've looked to explore more and more. I certainly planned at the time to do a top 10 worst corners as well as the best corners. But yeah, I would say as a general rule, I like doing content relating to real F1 because I think that opens you up to even more people, because I think F1 has more fans than there are fans of the game.
Yeah.
So, and I think the Into the Barrier perspective on things is something that you don't see very often. You get a lot of, quite serious analysis of real F1, and there's a lot of people that are very good at that kind of thing. And, Shane Bear's a good example.
Shane Bear's fantastic. Yeah.
He's really good at explaining the details of F1 and explaining interesting concepts to do with it. So I think my perspective on on Real F1 is different and a bit more entry level. And yeah, that's certainly something I'm thinking about and I'm aware of, and I'm looking to push. Your question was about the future of IntoTheBarrier. That's a tricky one, to be honest. It's one I'm thinking. It's one I'm thinking a lot about. Life increasingly gets in the way.
Because you have a full-time job, I believe.
Yeah, and that that's becoming more and more demanding as I move. I work in content professionally, in marketing, content marketing, and that as I move up the career ladder, that becomes more demanding, and more time consuming. And there have been times where I felt like IntoTheBarrier is falling behind, but then I get a good idea and I think, oh no, and my motivation to throw something together comes back. So yeah, I don't put myself under any pressure. I think that's obvious given my consistency over the last year or two. I tend to just when I'm feeling creative and when I'm feeling like I've got a good idea and like there's something there that can entertain people, I'll do it. And there's no pressure on myself. I've had to work hard to teach myself to not pressure myself into making videos, because there was a period as throughout for a long time in my life, you could say for almost 10 years, I've kind of never felt like I can truly have a break, because I've always been at the back of my mind thinking, but I need to do a video. I need to do a video. I need to do a video. I've had to work very hard to switch that off over the last year or so and actually be able to just not worry about it. And if I get a good idea and something comes up that I think will be great, I'll do it. And if not, I'll not do it. And I'll just carry on. I've kind of removed the pressure from myself. That's been very liberating.
Yeah, you want your content to be good, and you've got to have the creative juices flowing for that to happen. You can't force it. If you force it, it's not going to be any good, really, I don't think.
Yeah, and also with my kind of the content that I've increasingly pursued, the jokey reviews and stuff, it's not an overnight thing. I have to take time to look at the game and see, oh, well, what can I make a joke about here? Where can I come up with something here? What's new? What can we talk about? What's new? It's not stuff that can just be thought about overnight or thrown together in a moment. It's stuff that requires consideration.
And it's not like you are like a TMF Marduk who is doing this as a living, and like you've never opened a Patreon or anything. You've never done that.
But that's every credit to those guys that are able to do it. I've tried to turn this into a living, and have never been able to achieve the growth required to sustain it. Let's be absolutely clear, right? I have tried to do it as a living, and it's not happened. So every credit absolutely every credit to those that have the talent and the originality and ability to turn this into a career, because I've not been able to, but it's something that I tried to do but haven't quite managed to, and that the end result is that you're balancing a career alongside your channel, and inevitably, as I get older and as I mentioned before, further up the career ladder, your career tends to get in the way more and more and more. I lost my train of thought a bit with that last answer, but I think the point I was trying to make was that I tried to go full time, but haven't been able to. So every credit to those that have, but the end result is that obviously I have a career to balance and a social life along with YouTube, and
it's so hard to make your living from YouTube. People who do it really make it look so easy.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Anyway, sorry. It might require a bit of jiggery pokery in the edit, but I think I got the point across.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of all over the place speaking.
Yeah. No, we're nearly there, I think, anyway. But just something I wanted to come back to, and I don't even think you noticed it as you said it, but you were talking about Into the Barrier earlier, and you said the phrase Into the Barrier character. So do you see like Into the Barrier and Scott? Are they two different personas?
Yes, absolutely they are. Yes, and I've made conscious decisions to keep the two separate. You know, I deliberately I keep my Into the Barrier Twitter, for example, you know, away from news generally, and away from personal comment, because I'm of the view that people that have followed Into the Barrier generally are following it for a comedy F1 account. So generally what I'll talk about is F1 comedy. I might tweet things that I think are quite funny. But yeah, it's a conscious decision that Into the Barrier is a character, it's a persona. And when I'm in videos, I'm playing that character, which isn't a million miles away from me, but it's a more exaggerated me. It's a more emotional me. It's a more witty me. But that's because he's been sat for an hour writing jokes before he turns the mic on. Yeah, it's a character. Into the Barrier is a character that I play as an extension of myself, and I'm conscious to maintain that across all the social channels that Into the Barrier is on, because I think that's what people are following for Into the Barrier. They're not following for me; they're following for this comedy character that is a bit silly.
Yeah, absolutely. Final question: who wins the 2021 title? It's what you've got a 50-50 chance here.
That is savagery. I mean, you are asking the man that went on the record about 10 years ago and said he didn't think that Mercedes would build a car good enough for Lewis Hamilton to win a championship. So asking me is essentially like asking...
Well, Jeremy Clarkson, because Hamilton went on Top Gear, and he was like, what have you done? What have you done?
Yeah.
How wrong was everyone?
Yeah, particularly me and Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah. I mean, I've been half tempted to remove that video on a couple of occasions because of that video. Because of that comment, sorry. If you'd have asked me, say, 3 months ago, I would have, without question, said Max Verstappen, because I think that the Red Bull was the better car. And I couldn't see where Mercedes were going to beat them on enough occasions. But for some reason, Mercedes seemed to have got some pace from somewhere, and seemed to be a tough nut to crack again. However, I'm still going to say Max Verstappen. I still just think he's going to have the edge. I still think that the Red Bull is a slightly better car. And I think with the races we've got left, the Red Bull will be good enough for him to win enough races to guide it home. But and it continues to be a hell of a title fight, complete with drama between the two drivers, you know, not getting on, falling out, you know, it's all getting a bit salty.
We haven't had this since Hamilton Rosberg. It's
well, yeah, it's proper
for us as like consumers of the sport.
It's perfect. Well, it's perfect for everyone really, because it's what the sport needs, it's what the fans want. It's a real triumph, and I am just enjoying it, to be honest. But I do think Verstappen and that Red Bull will ultimately.
I remember saying it very early in the season. I said Verstappen is the second best driver in the best car, and Hamilton for me is the best driver in the second best car earlier in the season. So
yeah,
it's going to be.
I mean, I found it important that you kind of subconsciously know by saying Hamilton's the best driver, you had to qualify it with "for me," because you know that the uproar that comment will create, which is a real shame, because
opinions.
I think I think there's good solid evidence to suggest that Hamilton's the best driver.
The fact that you need two hands to count his titles for one,
yeah, I don't think people should be out for throwing stones at you that harshly for.
But it's just the car, Scott. It's just the car.
No, I mean, best driver or not, Hamilton is F1's real superstar. His real global face, his global icon. And when
he does so much outside the sport as well.
That's what I mean. He's the one that everyone knows. You know, sports stars across the world. He's the one that goes to all the posh dues. He is a massive interest generator for Formula One, and if he goes at the end of his next contract in a couple of years' time, he will, which I'm sure is likely to.
Yeah,
it's some big shoes for the sport to fill. He'll be a big loss, not
and even
just
if,
on the track.
And even if you just take him at face value of the driver, you know, he's minced Bottas in their time as a partnership, and also the only man to ever beat him really to a world championship retired at the end because of the toll it took on him to do it. So
yeah,
that's you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to make excuses because obviously the best man wins ultimately, but I think there were a few breakdowns, weren't there, with Hamilton's car that year? I can't remember the details.
There were a few reliability issues.
But yeah, he's beaten almost everyone he's come up against, and he's a huge name for the sport, and he's a massive figure. And I think we should just enjoy the remaining years that we've got, because once he's gone, I will be as a Brit, we'll never see a British driver that good again.
But I think the future is still looking
absolutely
tremendous.
No,
I mean, Norris is
fantastic.
There's Russell, huge,
yeah. I'm not suggesting that.
No, of course not. I'm just saying also British for drivers. The future. I think we're in a good position. Yeah,
7, possibly 8 or 9 time world champions do not come along very often at all, particularly ones that are fellow countrymen. So yeah, I'm enjoying the ride, as I have been doing, following Hamilton for his entire career.
Yeah, there was a while for which I wasn't really much of a Hamilton fan. I was always I was a big fan of Jenson Button during his time. I was always on the Button side. But
I can see that.
But yeah, I don't think you even have to be a fan of Hamilton to just be like, yeah, okay, he is phenomenal.
Yeah,
that's for me, that's undeniable.
Yeah, well, that's what I was referring to. Just enjoy having him around, because he won't be around for much longer.
Scott, thank you ever so much for joining me.
It's okay. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Although it's very easy to enjoy talking about yourself for an hour. So the question is whether you've enjoyed it, because I think the answer might be different.
No, I've absolutely loved it.
Oh, good.
I was going to do something when you got to like 100K, and I was going to be like, do you want to do like a podcast, or do you want to do some kind of interview or something? And then your subs just kind of stalled for a bit. So I just thought, hell with it.
They've been stalled for about...
I just thought, hell with it, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to ask them.
They've been stalled for a long time. Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day I'll drop a video that is an absolute hit, and I'll saunter over the 100K line.
Well, at the same time, as long as you're still enjoying what you're doing, I think that's
exactly what. In fact, I would say I'm enjoying it now more than at times in the past when I've perhaps been getting a lot more subscribers, because I've been putting more pressure on myself to produce and not ever coming up for air. Whereas now I spend a lot of my time in a YouTuber context above, coming up for air, socializing, having a life away from YouTube, and I only duck my head under the water to make a video when I feel like I've got something there that's worth having some fun with.
Absolutely, and I think that's advice any budding creators can take with them.
Yeah, well, I hope not that I would describe myself as at the cutting edge of the YouTube scene, but I hope maybe for if anyone younger is listening and and has been able to pick up little bits of advice from someone that is increasingly an older face of the game, having been around for 11 years now.
It is 11 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where's it going?
Oh, don't. It's hurting me. The worst thing ever is when, because obviously I follow a lot of F1 YouTube community members now on YouTube, and honestly, I hate it when I just see someone that's in a league racing team or whatever. Can't believe I'm 20. I'm getting so old, and it's like, you're really not. You're not getting old at all.
I spoke to ERL Ben. I'll probably cut this bit out. I spoke to ERL Ben once in a lobby thing we were doing together, and I was saying, like, can I get faster at this age, 25? And he was like, to be honest, mate, you're kind of beyond your peak reaction times. I'm like, Jesus, I'm 25, man. In fact, I was 24 at the time.
Oh, God.
And it was like, no, peak league races, you're probably like 17, 18. I'm like,
Wow. Absolutely wow.
I mean, I tend to be
a
about
lot of youthful faces around now.
I tend to be about in the time trials on average on each track. Really, I'm about 2 seconds down on the fastest. I tend to be about 2,500th in the world. But at the same time, there's always about 50,000 doing lap time, so I don't think I'm that bad.
Yeah, I'm 49,999.
That's not be harsh. That's not bad.
Sorry, yeah, 49,998.
Yeah, that's closer. It's closer. Right. Anyway, as I say, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. It's been an absolute joy speaking to you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And see you soon. Take care.
See ya.
Next time, Dr. R. Douglas Helvering of the Daily Doug.
I'm a math person before I'm a music person, which is sort of the point of view that I come at when I listen to music critically. It's just kind of natural for the way that my brain, fires when I hear these combinations and sequences and all that sort of stuff. So